So I hope your stomachs are full, and I hope your brains are ready to achieve more. Because that is what we are going to do now, Sven. Yeah. And please come close and sit down. We are one big printing family, right? So please join us.
Free hugs at the end.
So there has been yet again a slight change in the program because first we were supposed to speak to a gentleman that cancelled yesterday. Then we had another gentleman that was supposed to talk this morning, but he also bailed on us. But fortunately we have Sven, and it's actually better for me because I know Sven a little bit at least. So welcome, Sven.
Welcome.
We're going to talk about workflow automation.
That's the best.
And I got to know Sven actually not in person. This is the first time in person I meet him. But I got to know him from a film English did from the company that you used to work for, Send Moments.
Yes.
And it's a very good film, and it's a good film about, I was not participating, but it was still a good film. It was a film about you utilizing Ultimate Technographics InfoStrip.
Yeah.
It is about how you utilize the software in how you do the personalized embellishment from the Scodex machines. And it is how you bind photo books in books of one to thousands of customers.
Exactly, that's what we normally do. So we, at Send Moments, we grew up with greeting cards, and afterwards we found new products that we now producing more or less everything by ourselves. And I was a chief manufacturing officer, so I've taken care that what kind of machines we buy and what kind of technology we use. And I know a lot of people know me from asking about automation, getting dashboards, getting these, getting that. And I think this is where we get in touch via Ultimate. Okay, this is a very demanding customer. You have to go over there and ask them.
So a lot of people are talking about workflow automation these days. And also, as Tim Edelhoff said in his presentation this morning, there is some level of disruption in the market right now. Is there a paradigm shift in using workflow automation in your mind these days?
I think that it already starts. So people that coming up now are maybe not natives from printing, and they have other tools they know from somewhere else and they're asking for. And then you have the people that are working for years in printing and now getting really impressed if they can see, okay, where get you these informations from? So a lot of time when something happening in the company, I know that, but I didn't have to ask the people about it. So best thing is, if you have the peak season, it's Christmas time, and one indigo maybe is going down, and you see that in PrintOS. Bad thing is, if you achieve, don't call them, because you could be sure that your people are still working on that machine, but you can see from the outside, okay, they know restarting, they're doing this. So you get a good feeling about that, and you can have a good trust level with these new tools.
We're going to talk a lot more details in the process of things, but from a people perspective, I mean, because we are all facing the challenges of labor shortage, qualified labor shortage, even the shortage of labor for managing binding machines and printing machines, and I think it's a problem that all of us faces on a daily basis. Is that the main reason for looking into workflow automation today?
I don't think so. So whenever we did any kind of automations, it's not that any kind of people has to go or leave in the company in case of that automation. The thing is with automation is always you get a deeper control of what you are doing, and the people are more free and it's easier. Maybe the thing is not automation, it is more easier. If you just can push one button and you get all the information for the day on the machine, you really can take care of what you do. So if you're a printer, your job is to keep that machine running and not to taking data from A to B, and maybe something in that is damaged, lost or whatever. And I think this is something machines can do.
The American publisher and famous person Negroponte, he wrote once that everything that can be digital will be digital. I think that, you know, if you look at some of the customers ordering books and brochures and all the nice printed products. In the past, it was very common that they ordered 100, 500,000, 10,000, maybe even 100,000 of the same product. That is changing, right?
I think so, but I think there's always a personal thing. So whenever you think about a present, you can buy a card in a shop, but mostly you get in touch if someone, like my son, if he's doing a card by himself, but with his kind of view, just coloring something down, it's not the same card like you can buy in any kind of shop. And it's the same with a printed product that we sending out. Yes, you can buy a card on any shop and it's produced much cheaper than we can do, but there is no personal touch. And I think this will not change. And even with Corona and all that in the back, people are getting more personal and more touchy. So I think more people will do haptical products and will go away from these consuming things digital.
It's funny that you mentioned the personalization, because I'm actually, I'm not disagreeing with you in any way, but I have written some articles, because I think that if we look at most printing companies in maybe in Europe, maybe even in the world, I think that when digital toner-based machines started getting into market, it was only a fraction of the printing companies that used it for personalization. They used it for short runs.
Definitely, but I can tell from the past, I did a lot of success stories, even with Porsche, BMW, where the best personalization is where you cannot see it. So we use pictures for special people, or we always know if someone is driving a car, he will not go back to a less car. So, and this was always very successful stories that we told. And definitely, yeah, toner is used for that. But in the end, we now can do much more about personalization, but it has to be data-driven. So even if you do a personalization, the first data-driven is maybe you need the name, or you need any kind of contact or whatever. And the best personalization if you don't see it, but you get touched by it.
My claim, Sven, was basically it was because it is more complex to do the personalization and the data-driven development of print. So I was thinking that, okay, the offset machines were getting too expensive for short runs, and customer demand was decreasing, and they really wanted to have products of one, because who wants to stock thousands of euros in a warehouse? That was, I thought, was the main driver.
This is definitely one of the main drivers. I would definitely not disagree, but the opportunities you get are much more interesting. The most important thing is, but a lot of printers didn't change. They're still thinking in that kind of way, and advertising companies and printers don't talk maybe the same languages. But and then in the end we have like the people who are delivering the machines and doing new innovations on that. The 3-time people maybe not talking to each other, and you need to change from the beginning to the end. That the people who have a good idea on a product just follow that on the lead until it's finished.
The reason I was bringing you to this path is because I think that you're right, that there's a huge driver in digital print and workflow automation that goes to the personalization, data-driven communication. But I also think there's a huge demand for lower print runs and less stock. And let's just assume that these two terms are okay. The only way to achieve it profitable is zero touch points.
Yeah. Definitely. But I can remember when we did on another printing company I worked before, we did all the manuals for BMW, and you get 3-4 days before, you get automatically, so there was no phone call or just an order, automatically in the system you get how many books on watch point and at what number on the belt the car would be produced. And interesting was for us, before we produced a lot in German or whatever, but with digital printing in 4 days in advance, it was possible not to do anything on stock, but and just be ready, because we know exactly on the point when we have to pick it out of the shelf when it has to be ready. This was definitely a game changer even for us.
Would you say that print of one is more profitable and more valuable than print of many?
It could be. The thing is, the opportunity or the it's like with a car. You can produce 1,000 of the same cars, and every car will drive, hopefully, but everybody likes some kind of individualization. And if you look at the big car brands, like on Porsche or whatever, how much individualization you can do. If they would, there must be a need, because otherwise they would say, we just have one color, and this is our unique color, and we sell that one. Now I think even with these products, people want to change a little bit. Even that they maybe didn't change anything, they moved a little bit from left to right, but they have the feeling, I did this as some kind of designer.
The reason I'm asking is because if you look at some of the headlines, it's like, print is dead, print is dying, everything is going down, print runs is decreasing. My claim is that if we do more valuable print, as you decide, and as you just described, maybe the volume decreases, but the value increases.
Yeah, I think definitely you have to produce product that you not throw away. So a lot of stuff that you get in your mailbox, like you maybe mentioned, you just throw away because there is no need for that. But I don't know people or how many people just throw a photo book, taking out of the shelf. So I don't need it. I just throw it away. It's something you will not do. And even if it's a card product, I know a lot of people who still have wedding cards from weddings from 5 years ago hanging on the shelf or even on the refrigerator. So I think there must be a difference of what kind of product, and as you mentioned, value product, that's the thing. And we need to generate these values.
So, I mean, I think we can agree that, and what we have established is that personalized products, shorter print runs, higher value in the print, is driving the digital transformation, and that is why we need automation.
Yeah, and the people must be the designer. So everybody needs his own way to create these kind of product. And I think it doesn't have to be just like a personal product like a card. Even a product manager or a country manager just want to have a little change on the catalog, like in here, or like different words on it, or a different product on the title. That's also individualization. So it don't have to be a gift or whatever. It could be a lot of different products. And if you have the chance, you would always use the chance to be personalized.
Computers are very good at being variable, because that is basically just bits and bytes. How do you see going from the computer to the printer, to the binder, to the embellishment, to the entire value process, to shipping, to everything? How is it today? Is it still a dream, or is it actually here now?
I think definitely it is here, but for a lot of people it is still a dream, because maybe if you a grown printer, you always ask, but how should I get all this data, and from where do I get it, and where I have to put it in? So the competence with IT process and how you can handle data and send them from A to B, this is the main thing. And a lot of people always mentioned, but our customers, they just only give us some kind of shitty data. How should I handle this? There's always a way, and I think this is where everybody should start to think, okay, my own production should be organized by this kind of system, and you just need some kind of connector in the beginning where you just can use any kind of data. You say, just send me what kind of data you want to have, but I will automate it, and it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 1,000, because I always tell we have to start by 1 and go to 1 million. But if you start as a printer from 1 million, it has to go to 1, I think you don't have a chance.
Thank you. Then I have, and now we're changing direction a little bit. Who is Sven?
Who is Sven? That's a good question. I'm 42. I was taking care for the last 6 years of the production at St. Moments, a great greeting card producer in Germany. And when I came to St. Moments, and I know them before from another printing company I worked before, there was exactly that what you mentioned before. There was no kind of automation. The funny story I always tell was the printer just printing every sheet and putting a sticker with a barcode on every sheet. I still have that PDF, and I gave it to the printer last week, and he laughed about it. And I say, okay, we will do one retro day, because everybody is like retro. We do this on Christmas for one day. And they would say, oh, no, we should not do that. And when I came, it was quite clear I'm deeply into these automation stuff. I was like, okay, what I will do, I will take care that you will have less work with all these stuff. So you don't have to fill out any kind of checklist. You don't have to take some kind of map where you get the information. All that, what in the end has to be digital, needs to be digital. This is what I would say when it comes to digital, the information of a product has to be. And this was what I was taking care, and I always take care of a lot of new technologies, and this is the advancements we talked about, to go on with laser products or with foil on cards, and there's always the same question. And this is when the people, or when I decided to buy a machine, it was always, okay, there's one thing, it has to be automated in the production. If there's no way to get it in an automated way from the data, it will not be part of my machine team. And the next step, what I told everybody, okay, now, because everything is quite good connectable, we need dashboards. Because in the end, you need to see how good your day is. Because in the end of the day, if the production is not bringing out the numbers you need, you will not getting happy at home. And the thing is, next day, you will not get that on top what you lost on that day.
Mm. So when you started with St. Moments and realized that everything was kind of in a change moment, right?
Yeah, definitely.
How did you get started with it? I mean, how did you identify the bottlenecks and how did you identify what to do?
The good thing is we did a production system before, but I was not quite happy with it because the main challenge of that production system was always the bottleneck of how to show data fast. So then I had definitely in mind, okay, I know the bottlenecks, how to create stuff. So everything has to be fluable, has to be getting fast through the production. And this is what we did 6 years ago. The basement of our productions is more or less an XML file. If you use it as a JDF or other people, everybody find a new name for XML. That's the thing. But if you have an XML, the basic thing is it's structured. And this is what you have to take from the XML to your production. You have to structure the production and the handovers so that you don't need any people in between that have to be the connectors. So if you get automated, you have these connector of people. They are just gone away.
So when you spoke before about data-driven on the actual print, you actually also talk about data-driven in your decision process of what kind of technology you invest in. Before we started this interview, you also spoke about Icelink, which is Horizon's IoT platform, so to speak, right? How easy is it to work with? I mean, we have a lot of vendors here, right? Are they talking together electronically, XML-wise, or is it one big jungle so far?
It's getting better.
It's getting better, okay.
The best thing is when it comes to Icelink or generally, the starting point is quite good and it's getting better. So the people see that it's the direction is definitely heading into showing something what is going live on the shop floor. But what needs to be is going better, is going really to product number one and identify the product on the floor.
When Marisa gave an overview of the 3 levels of Icelink this morning, there was like the basic that was more like reporting back from the machines, a little bit with the KPIs and things like that. But basically when you have the 2 layered, you basically have an ability to communicate back from MIS systems, back from workflow automation system, back to the binding machines and the printing machines to basically automate the process based on the data that you decide to give the machines, right?
We were always happy because I think we were the first starting with the basic IoT. I can remember where we put our smart slitters in, and the interesting thing, if you're asking someone on the machine, how many sheets did you do today? No one is really counting down the counters. So it could be easy that someone just write it down and in the end of the shift come over and say, I did, I don't know, 1,000 sheets more like yesterday. But this is not how people normally work. But if you have a system and at the end of the day you say that was a great day, they say, how do you know that? You didn't see me for the whole day. But I say, yeah, but here you can see. So I would always use these dashboard not as a control tool. It's better to see it as, okay, what is the normal level that you get? There are good days, there are bad days. What is your normal stuff? And I think even way earlier we get also into the next 2 steps. And when this one opened and we get the first preview, okay, what is possible with JDF? We see even some stuff what is not yet possible with Icelink, but we challenge them. We say, okay, but we are different. We're always thinking on one, and we need that kind of function. And then we also have to talk to Ultimate to ask, okay, we're using you here, and you have that kind of data. We need to, like, again, this connector to bring it all together. But if you have something like an XML, that's the best basement, because if you tell the people, we got an XML with all the information, they will say, okay, we're happy about that. Now we find a way to connect it.
So, on a little bit more technical level, would you say that the XML data you have is both the production data and the print data in the same stream, or do you separate those 2 things? I mean, if you look at a PDF file, that's also XML data, right? So I was just wondering.
We split that one.
You split that one.
Okay. But that's the only split we have.
Okay.
So even if we have enhancements like foil, laser information, they are all in the PDF. And the XML for us is always the fully instruction. And whenever there will be some new technologies, for us, it's just a feature. That's the good thing. If we have a JDF, it's limited. Sometimes you're looking for a feature, it's not in the JDF, and say, okay, how we should handle. Then you're starting to using fields that is not used to be for that, then they get irritated into your future. Don't do that. So find out a way to build up your new XML that fix everything And the easy thing with XML is, I think, even if someone is not into programming or whatever, if it's a good XML, it's structured, everybody will see it, I understand what it is. It could be open in Word and I understand it.
If you are a printing company that comes from the same starting point as Sven did 6 years ago, where, I mean, you spoke about the getting the overview, but is it an impossible task for, like, let's say that you have operated a family-driven company for 20, 30 years, never heard about XML, never, I mean, what kind of skills do you need in your organization to drive that development?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think you need a team that really follow you with that dream to see, okay, we will not taking people out of these case. For us, it is more important that we get an easy, chilly day, because everything what you normally have to do, click here, click there, put in some kind of numbers, that's all gone. And then everybody, I think, will help you with that. And even people who are not involved into computers in the end will understand, okay, everything's getting easier. The main thing is you have, what I mentioned before, you have to structure everything out around your data you have. So you need someone who have, definitely a basic knowledge on ITs. You can even buy software for that to connect it, so it is not as hard. So I think in the future there will be an open box that you get with any kind of machine to say, okay, if you have that, it is automatically installed. You just have to open, that's your password, scan it or whatever. So I think in the future, everything what we learned will be just part of buying that machine.
Last round of questions. Finishing first is the headline for this Horizon event. Do you agree?
That's a good question. That's a point of view, or because if you don't have finishing, you will not get anything. So
there's a rhyme as well, right?
So we have to think about where you're starting. If you're starting from the back, it will be definitely the first. But I think the finishing will make at the end the value of the product. So if you don't have a book binding machine, you have just loose kind of sheets. So in that case, I would say definitely finishing first. And normally the finishing is the most complex part at all. Printing is also, but yeah, it's a sheet thing. But if you have to cut that down, collect it, scan it or whatever, it's get more difficult. And then it's on the first list to take a deeper look inside.
The reason why I was asking is because I think that if you look at a typical printing company, let's say 30, 40, 50, 60 people, I think that if you look at the production itself, the most labor-intensive part in a printing company today is typically the binder, right? And I was just thinking that with all the smart automation that we see here and in the industry in general, I just think this is where you can basically eliminate some of the bottlenecks that you have with labor, but you can also probably be more profitable because here you can basically produce more with the same people.
The thing is, when it comes to smart machines, and we have a lot of them from Horizon. No, but the thing is, what the good thing is, if one person is trained on one machine, everything that they touch it on the touchscreen looks more or less the same on the other machine. So even if they don't understand basically what the complete machine is doing it well, it is easier to go next to that machine. We say, okay, that feels comfortable. Okay, this is the starting button, looks exactly the same. This is where we have these and that. Within that, it's getting much more easier. And everybody is impressed what you can do with a small space, and you get a very big output.
So if you were starting a clean slate printing company today, digital print, smart finishing, XML data, and the best staff.
That would be definitely the thing I would buy. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time here with us. And Sven,
thank you, Morten.
Great talking to you. Thank you.